Hey, what's up, gamers? Enforcer 5150 here, and we are back to do some more benchmarking on the i7 14700K. That's right. Yeah, last one we did, we had everything at maximum settings. We had everything at extreme. This time we're going to put everything at the very lowest. We want to make sure that we get some test results with the bare minimum, which doesn't look as bad as you would think. But it's not bad. I've been playing at medium settings a little bit to see how that felt, and obviously I try to keep them up to maximum at most times. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do a few benchmarks here. In the last one, we wanted to go through all the DLSS. We're gonna do the same thing in this one. So let's go ahead and set our graphics preset to minimum, and that should take everything down. Let's see, we have ultra extreme. I don't want to do the other ones. I just want to do the minimum, and then we're going to use our upscaling through each one. We'll start with the quality and everything else. One thing you just want to make sure you do if you ever do this, I don't know why they set the resolution down. It looks really bad. So if you're running 4K like this, just make sure it's set back to 100%. So let's go ahead and get to benchmarking this. All right, so the 14700K definitely is not being touched much when we're running in 4K. Like you're running straight off the GPU, and it's not bad at all. If you're running with a 4090, obviously you'll get more frames, but yeah, we're not being bottlenecked by the CPU at all. That's kind of the main reason why I wanted to do this upgrade. Is I was constantly bottlenecked on the 10900. See that little glitch there with the weapon? It's the first time I've seen that. I've done a few tests on this. I'll be running the test a few times. Usually I'll do 5 times and then get the averages, and then I'll put that at the end of this video. But yeah, we're getting a little over 130, I think, average here. Not bad at all. 132 frames per second, and you can see that we're not bottlenecked at all. We have a 0% bottleneck on the CPU, and sometimes you have to go back just to make sure that your results come back up. So let's go ahead and set the DLSS on. It always says locked if you have it off, but we'll go DLSS. All right, we just want to make sure that we're at quality. I actually forgot to make sure that I was on quality because I did so many different tests on there. All right, let's go ahead and get this benchmark in. All right, so we have our minimum settings with DLSS set to quality. And yeah, we do jump up in FPS when we turn on that DLSS. It's giving us a bit extra frames because it's bringing it down to another resolution. I think this one we get 1440p. So you get roughly the same that you would get if you're running 1440p, but then it's upscaled to give you an actual 4K image. And it's slightly accurate. When you start getting down in like the 1080p area, it's not as accurate in my opinion. I haven't done a full test on the 1080p. I played a little bit on 1080p earlier today, and it wasn't too bad at all. But yeah, this is, I mean, as far as the look, I think the DLSS quality looks a little sharper than the native, so might just turn it on just for the extra sharpness. All right, so let's get our results here. We got 178 frames per second. We have no bottleneck at all, and yeah, we're at 1440p. So let's go ahead and switch this down to balanced DLSS. All right, so now we're sitting at the balanced DLSS on the 14700K in 4K. We're not getting a lot more in this one. It looks like we're getting maybe 20 frames per second more, but it is an improvement. As far as the quality look, I mean, you can't really tell that much between quality and balance, but you are getting an extra frame, so it does make sense to go to it if you really need to. Now I wanted to remind you that I am running through a capture card so that we're not getting any kind of system drag. Even when you use shadow play, you do lose like 5 frames per second in most cases, but it's really been extremely minimum with some of the newer drivers and the newer shadow play. Yeah, this is not too bad here. Yeah, if you use OBS, you lose like 10 to 15 frames per second, and it's not very good for benchmarking. All right, so we have 200 frames per second as on our average. And like I said, we're going to be running all these a few times, and then I'll give the results at the end. So we need to switch this over to performance mode. Not ultra yet, just regular performance. And then we'll go ahead and benchmark that as well. All right, so now we're up to performance DLSS on the 14700K. Now, see, we're getting 205. Now in 1440p, I swear we get more than this. Or not 1440p, but 1080p, because I think this is the 1080p one. And usually I'll get a little bit higher FPS, say 240s and stuff like that when I do native 1080p. But, you know, I really need that extra space when I'm running on port. I don't know why, but 1080p I just cannot play on anymore. It's something with just everything feels too large. So like 1440p is kind of my minimum now. But yeah, this isn't bad at all. Yeah, like I said, it's not a real 1080p. So let's see what we have here. Yeah, see, 1088 is definitely like a 1080p there. We are getting 1% on our bottleneck and 219 FPS. We're gonna switch this down to ultra performance and see what we get. All right, so we have DLSS on ultra performance on the 14700K and the RTX 4080. And this is kind of what I see with regular 1080p. Like I said, I think I'm going to do some 1080p benchmarks as well, so we can really start seeing what our CPU is actually giving us. Because that'll bottle us down to our bottleneck is down to the CPU instead of everything being directly on the GPU. We are starting to see a little bit of our bottleneck trickle into the CPU now when we run at these DLSS performance modes. Like the last one was 1%. Yeah, I mean, as far as quality goes, I mean, you really can't tell that much. So it's not that jarring. Yeah, that one jumped up to 270 something. Yeah, we're at a 14% on the CPU now, 254 frames per second. And yeah, that's not bad at all. That's we're still, you know, heavily relying on the bottleneck of the GPU. So that's a good thing. We want to be, you know, bottlenecked there. That means if I did upgrade to a 4090, I could actually see some benefit, you know, in a lot of the things. But this is at a 720p resolution. I don't think that's bad at all. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do my benchmarks now. We're going to run all these at least 5 times and then get a result of each one. All right, so here we go. We have the benchmarks in. Ran each one of these 5 times, and yeah, the differences aren't too much in some of the areas. If we go start off at the left side, we have a minimum of 118 and an average of 151. It's kind of the one we're looking at the most. Max of 299 between all of these. You know, that 118 is, you know, the lowest 1%. So that's not too bad for our DLSS off. I mean, if you're doing 144 hertz monitor and you have everything at your minimum settings, that's just fine. So we go on to our quality and balance modes. We're looking at 192 average and 210 average. That's not a big difference. It's less than 20 frames per second. So if you're going to be going with either one of those, it's better to just stick with quality. Yeah, that high is kind of a CPU bottleneck there. So you're not really going to get much more than the 340s area, but you're not going to get that too often. And then if you go on over to the performance mode, we look at a 227 frames per second, and that's not bad at all. 183 out of our very minimum, but if you look at the ultra performance, you do get 251 average. That keeps you over to 240 hertz range, so it is kind of better to stick with the ultra performance over the performance. It's not a huge difference in the quality in the two, and like I said in other ones, like the DLSS now definitely looks a way better than it used to, and it really shows. Like if we're wanting to get our maximum frames without using frame generation, DLSS is doing pretty well. We'll be doing some more tests on on frame generation as well, because these are both been with no frame generation, just straight DLSS. So let me know what you think in the comments below. How is it performing for you? Does this seem like it's a worthy CPU and GPU combo that you would go with, even though they're very expensive? And Black Friday, Cyber Monday is here right now, but that only lasts so long. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video today. Make sure you hit that like button, definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel. You all take care and happy gaming.